Good morning folks, Ken Ring here, www.predictweather.com, and we're talking about the weather and the moon and what causes what. We're in the new moon time at the moment. Coming into that, there's the moon there, the sign of Aquarius, there's the sun and the sign of Pisces, and they're coming together. The new moon time will be just after the weekend, and we've got the situation where the moon is in the sky all day. It's pretty pleasant, it's not too wet, and it's going to stay that way for a little while yet. By the way, this isn't the moon, that's just there to stop me poking my eye out. So here's the moon here. The moon was up here further around about last Monday, and it's kind of coming lower and lower in the sky because this is north this way, because I'm in the southern hemisphere, and the moon is trekking its way north. If you were watching this from space, it would be like this. There's the moon in the southern hemisphere, and as it comes around, because of the tilt of the earth, it ends up over the northern hemisphere. So it started to pull its way up country, does this every 27 days, changes hemispheres every 13 days, and that's what's been happening. Now around about Wednesday it started to trek northwards, so it started to bring cold polar air up from the South Pole and onto New Zealand. But the thing is that there's a big high pressure system out in the West Tasman, and it's sort of forcing the winds to come up the side of it. So there's this thing called the jet stream that's coming the whole length of the country at the moment. It's being forced to do that. See, these jet streams, they're these fast rivers of air circulating. One circulates always just above Antarctica, and another one comes across Australia, comes across about the level of Brisbane. They normally kind of stay there. They don't normally race up the length of New Zealand like this one is. Sometimes it's a little bit of New Zealand, but not the whole length, and it's been forced to do that at the moment. And what's happened is, it's got a whole lot of strength in it. It's coming up from the south because of the trekking of the moon, and it's brought these destructive winds, and it wrecked a little bit of Wellington a couple of days ago. Of course, Wellington always has strong winds anyway because of the shape of the hills, because of the shape of Cook Strait. It kind of acts as a bit of a Venturi system, if you know anything about carburetors and the way liquids are forced through channels. So this jet stream has caused what's been happening over the last couple of days. That's why it's cold. It's coming up from the south, and that's why it's been strong. Now, every time the wind does come up from the south, it doesn't have a lot of rain in it, because the south is a very cold place. It's warmer up in the equator to the north of us. So that's why when you see winds coming from the south or clouds, it generally won't be all that wet. It'll be not nearly as wet as when systems are coming from the north. In Auckland here, when we get a southerly wind, it's just about always a perfectly fine day, and that's the reason for it. Now, over the next 10 days, that high is going to be sitting out there in the Tasman. It's just going to sit there, and we're going to continue to get these cold winds coming up until that high moves across New Zealand, and then by the edge of it, because these things go anti-clockwise, at the very edge of it, it'll become northwesterly in about 10 days time. That'll bring a whole lot of warm weather to some parts of New Zealand. They're going to think the summer has come back, but it won't be. It'll just be this particular system moving over, and after that we'll all be in autumn mode, and we'll be shivering our socks off, and that'll be around about the 20th of March. You can say goodbye to all the hot weather then. Get your firewood early. You're going to need it. It's going to be a